Hey folks, it's Dr. E here. I just wanted to walk through some of the requirements that we have for our last full week, so congratulations. We've made it. We're almost at the finish line. It's going to be a busy week, and then the start to next week is also busy, so you're almost there. Just hang on a bit. You've done so much work. Keep it up. I do want to walk through our syllabus and then also some materials that I've posted and then try to go through everything that's coming up this week. I'm going to try to do it in a single video, but knowing how much we have going on, it may need to break into two videos, so we'll see. The first thing is, of course, that I want to talk about our schedule. So if I pull up our syllabus schedule, you'll see that from last week's schedule section, we have this week to read Kluger's Why We Eat, which is posted on D2L, as well as DePeter's How to Write Meaningful Peer Review Praise. That's going to be really important in preparation for the peer review process that's going to begin on Wednesday, okay? In terms of this week coming up, I'm just going to scroll down for the ease of this. So on Monday, I'll have this video, of course, posted, as well as the prompt for the reading response that is going to be due by Friday, as well as the prompt that's for the paper portfolio. So that's going to be in a discussion area just as any writing journal would be due on Wednesday, but it's a separate, it has a header of peer review, and I'll walk through that. So on Wednesday, the paper topic portfolio is going to be due in the group area that I will set up for each of you. So you'll then need to, between Wednesday and Friday, go through and offer some peer review to every single group member. Okay, every single group member that posts on time, right? But hopefully everybody posts on time and you can offer that feedback to everybody. The more feedback we get, the better the product is going to be, okay? So just keep that in mind. This is not a session for us to judge one another. It's a session for us to provide a lot of useful, valuable feedback to help one another through to the best possible finished product. Okay, so by Friday, you will have read the people's work and posted your responses to each of them in that same discussion area. I'll go through that. But you also have your reading response, which is going to be due by 11:59 p.m., which is, for the most part, singling in on Kluger's work. Okay, so that Why We Eat, that's where we're going to focus our reading response attention. For Wednesday, that paper topic portfolio area in the discussion board is going to connect to the peer review reading, okay? So all of this work that we're doing this week is to really push our best product for the portfolio due date, the final due date, which is Sunday, the 5th, and that's where you're actually going to go to the assignments area and upload your work as a complete document. So not in the discussion area, but the assignments area, okay? And then in preparation for next week, we have our multimedia project coming up. So it's not going to be a bad idea to just review those guidelines and really start thinking about what you would like to do. Now's the time to get creative, to start a piece of art or a video or a PowerPoint or whatever it is that you want to do in relation to our overall topic of food and food culture, okay? So your multimedia project will be due, that's posted in the discussion area as well, that's due by 11:59 p.m. next Monday, and then your course reflection is going to be due next Tuesday, okay? So that's just our brief week. It's almost like a finals week, right? So there's a lot going on and things that overlap, so just keep that in mind. What I want to do next is kind of shift gears a little bit, and I'm going to pull up a copy of Amy Choi's article. In reading your paper topics, and I provided you some feedback in your paper topics, so go in, take a look at some of that. In some instances, it was just general, maybe surface level feedback. In others, it was maybe pushing your ideas in different areas, so just read that feedback and let me know if you have any questions. So in looking at Choi's work, I really want us to consider this as a source, right? You will be pulling a paper topic that includes your analysis of Choi's work and including Choi's work in terms of quotes and quotations. So we want to make sure we're doing that correctly, okay? So with MLA, remember that even if the title isn't capitalized in the original, MLA asks that you capitalize every single first letter of every word, right? So even if can and learn, those are not words that are capitalized, the first letter, MLA wants you to do that when referencing this title, okay? I also want you to remember that in titles of articles, we always reference them with quotation marks, okay? In some posts I've seen the title italicized or things of that nature. So I just want you to know that following MLA guidelines, that title is going to be in quotation marks, okay? And we always refer to authors and scholars and people that we're using as sources by their last name. So we never want to say, Amy notes this or Amy says that. We don't have the pleasure of knowing Amy Choi personally. We can't call her by her first name, always last name. And that's also because the first thing that will appear in the citation, right, the full citation, what we may have previously referred to or thought about as a bibliography in high school writing, the first thing that appears is that last name, right? So we're making those connections, in the work cited. So what I really want us to focus on is the fact that Choi does a lot to use research. She does the things that we want to do in our academic writing as well. So she has Jennifer 8 Lee that she quotes here. I'm scrolling down. She has Jennifer Berg. She has Dan Barber. A lot of you were pulling quotes from Dan Barber. But what I want you to realize is that MLA has a specific way that you cite indirect sources. Okay, and that really means that you understand the initial work, right? So you need to be able to differentiate between those words that are actually Choi's and then the words or the quotes that she's pulling in from outside sources, right? So some of you may have thought about, let's pull a quote as an example. I think one of the popular ones was Jennifer 8 Lee, right? So what you want to cook and eat is an accumulation, a function of your experiences. That's a really useful quote in thinking about our own food culture and the things that we are, our food memories and all of those things that we're kind of writing about. But those are not words by Amy Choi, right? Those are words by Jennifer 8 Lee. So we need to follow MLA guidelines in order to properly cite her. So if we're writing about Choi's work, but then we want to cite this actual quote, we would say, as Jennifer 8 Lee notes, quote, what we want to cook and da-da-da is accumulation of your experiences, and then you'd have your quotation marks. That doesn't end it, because if you just say, as Jennifer 8 Lee quote or notes, I'm going to go into your works cited and look for Lee as the last name. But Lee isn't the author of this overall article, right? So we have to do a little bit of extra work according to MLA guidelines. So I'm going to pull up the Purdue Online Writing Lab website, and this is the MLA section on the left-hand side, okay? There's a bunch of examples about how to do in-text citations, formatting quotations. Take some time to review that, right? So if I look at the section on the basics, all I'm going to do is scroll down to a particular section that I referenced for a lot of you in your feedback, okay? So I'm scrolling, trying not to move too quickly and make you nauseous. There's this whole section on citing indirect sources, and that's what Lee becomes in Choi's article, right? So if I put Jennifer 8 Lee notes that, quote, food is an accumulation, and da-da-da, and I have the end quotes, then in parentheses after that quote, I'm going to put QTD period, which means quoted, QTD in Choi. And then there aren't page numbers in Choi's work, so I'm just going to close the parentheses and then place the period after the parentheses, okay? That's how you responsibly use those indirect sources, because she quotes some fabulous people that you might want to include in your own work, but you need to do that properly, right? So that's how you would include that. I want to also think about the fact that we need to create that citation for Choi's work, right? In MLA and in all formatting styles, each different kind of source has a different citation, the way it's constructed, right? So this is an electronic source, right? This is something that I pulled from the ideas.ted.com website, okay? So that gives me an idea. I need to go and find, okay, this is, don't get nauseous. In the left-hand side, I have all the MLA works cited. So I want to think about works cited for an electronic source, because this article is an electronic source. So if I click there, then I still have to make some decisions based on what do I know about the source, right? So I would not be citing an entire website, because I'm not just citing the whole ideas.ted.com website. No, I want something that's a little bit more specific. So I want to think about her article being an actual page on a website, right? If I go to that website, if I go to find her article on the website, it is a single page on a larger website, okay? So I'm going to follow this format, right? I'm going to have the author's last name, comma, first name, period. I'm going to have the title of her article with capitalization in quotation marks with a period. I'm going to italicize the name of the website. Okay, I'm also going to jump down to this example because there is a date that's included for her work. Okay, this is the publication date. We want to include that because we want to be as specific and as responsible in our citation as possible. Okay, then I'm going to offer the actual website here, right? So if you're looking at the PDF version, you can just, this is it, that's fine. I don't need anything more than that. And then at the very end, we also need the access date. Okay, and in the PDF version that I've uploaded for a class, the access date is little itty bitty at the top. And that just showed when I accessed it, which is the version that you are using. If you actually go to the website, then you would use today's date as the date of access and then a period at the end. I know it seems crazy and a lot of information, but this is how MLA functions properly, right? And I want you to make sure that you're indenting properly. So the first line of every entry in your works cited is going to be left justified. Everything below that is going to be indented in what's called a hanging indent. Just bear with me, it'll make sense. If you want to look at some examples of works cited, you can always go to the sample paper. The sample works cited page is fine, but I think the sample paper makes things a little bit more clear, right? It shows what your paper should look like. I'm scrolling, don't get nauseous. I'm trying to find the works cited. So you see that the first line or the last names are all sticking out, and then every line below it is called a hanging indent. Okay, so what I've done is I've included your an MLA template that you can use, right? So this is formatted according to all MLA guidelines. It has your heading, it has your header, it has everything indented using the tab button, not using the space bar, right? And then I put some notes here about like where do you go and what do you do in order to create this citation. I want you to also note, if you are watching this video, if you scroll down a little bit, I may have already started a works cited for you. I'm just going to show you that. Okay. If you need to go in up here and change your last name, which you should, all you do is double click. Okay. Double click, type in your last name, and then double click outside of this. Okay. That's a lot of information just because I want your paper portfolios to have all of this necessary information. Okay. So I'm going to go back. Don't get nauseous, I'm going to spread out all my stuff here. I'm going to go back to our course, and in the overview area, just remind you that for all these major assignments, there are not only the rubrics, but also some videos that are informational, so feel free to go back and take a look at those. In fact, I encourage you to. If you go to week 5, this is all of our information. So the first is going to be that template I just showed you, okay? So feel free to take it, use it, delete all my information to enter your own. It's properly formatted. Here is a copy of DePeter's article, which you'll need for Wednesday for the peer review. And here's a copy of the paper portfolio rubric, just to review and see what the guidelines are, what you need to do, what you need to include. And here's a copy of Why We Eat, which is the reading response. Your reading response post will be about this one on Friday. Here is the peer review discussion area, okay? I've included a lot of instructions just because I want this to be absolutely clear, okay? So if you click here, it'll take you to that area, okay? Let me move this so you can see it. I'm gonna go back because then if you scroll down, you also have your week 5 reading response, right? And then there's also a link to the area for your final paper portfolio to be uploaded in the assignment section, okay? So if you click on that, it takes you to a bit of a different place where this looks different than what you'll see, but it'll take you to the place where you need to actually upload your assignment, okay? I'm running out of time in this video. I kind of knew I would, so I'm gonna upload a second video that walks you through each of the discussion posts for this week and then the final portfolio. So take a look at that.